Welcome to FT Expression Show. My name is Stacy B. Today we have amazing guests, Valina and Celinda. And they have an organization called Forever Heal. And this organization is such amazing. Have you ever been hurt before? Or still feeling that pain for something that happened a long time ago? Then you need to check out this conversation right here with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Celinda and Valina. I heard y'all doing this new amazing organization now. Can you tell me about what's it called?
It's called Forever Heal.
And what that contain of? Forever Heal. What is it?
Well, what the program is about is that we help individuals who are having a hard time dealing with a loss, and we give them the keys. We give them the tools, if you will, to help them to deal with their losses.
Okay. And that's any loss that y'all basically talking about?
Any loss.
Any loss.
Any loss that you can think of that people really don't consider a loss.
Like a job.
Loss of a job, loss of a loved one, loss of a relationship, loss of an expectation. Most people don't think of that as a loss.
So what inspired y'all to open up this group?
Well, what inspired us was both of us dealt with losses, growing up. I was actually abused as a child, by a parent. So I went to a church in Ohio, and in order to work on any ministry, you had to go through a grief recovery program. So going through that program, the Lord showed me then that this is what He wanted, me to do, was to start a program to help those who, are hurting. So He used the child abuse, to kind of spark interest, if you will. Because if you see it, there's a lot of programs about women who are abused, right? But what can you do for children? There's not a lot outside of being an advocate because they don't talk. They usually don't tell. So there's not a lot that you can do with children as far as, stepping in and having programs for them because you don't know about it until they are adults and it manifests itself.
So this program just basically for children?
No. It's children and adults. I work with the teenagers. It's if you can deal with certain things as a teenager, you won't have to as an adult. A lot of things come in when you're innocent. You start shutting down at that age. You start learning how to, mask things. You start learning how to use, one of the things that we use is what are those triggers. Certain things will begin to trigger. Certain words trigger certain things. As an adult, you don't look at it as a trigger. It's just I don't know, I just do that. I don't know, I just think that. I don't know, I don't. And it came in when you were young. So we could deal with those things. And she mentioned keys. Keys fit in doors. They're doorways, opening up, going into, stepping out. We teach you how to deal with those things, how to walk through those doors, how to address things.
Delivery. Abuse. You said children that have been abused. What do you classify as children being abused?
Well, it could be physical abuse. We don't think a lot about verbal abuse. But, it was a little saying when we were younger, how sticks and stones break your bones, but words will never hurt. Words do hurt. And if you have someone telling you that you're nothing, you're never going to be nothing, you either take on those characteristics or you try really hard not to be that. So words do hurt. So it can be physical, it can be verbal, it can be emotional abuse when it comes to children.
So you show them the path of the way to learn to forgive and let go?
That is part of it, because a lot of it, the anger comes from, you not forgiving. And a lot of times they don't know how to forgive themselves. You don't even realize that you are sometimes holding unforgiveness, against yourself. So yes, we do, help. Sometimes you're a man of God, so we restore all those relationships.
So with kids, some children and adults tends to stretch things a little bit, see things a little different than what the other person may have seen who they felt that they'd been abused or felt that it had hurt them. Now, how do you know where the truth is and where to really start healing from?
Well, you mentioned how they see it, or I guess you're talking about perceptions.
Correct. Because you could have a person that tell you they was abused, but then if you really went back and look at the history, they wasn't abused. They saying they abused, they took up somebody else's characters, or playing that role. You know how people play on your feelings or certain things. So how you know it's someone being true when you can really get down and really heal it, helping them to heal for what the real problem is.
Well, usually that's where you find out what the issue is. If I know that that's not the case, but there's something that's causing you to say that, to get the attention. You lost something. Did you lose attention? Did you lose the affection from the, you know what I mean?
Right,
Why
right.
would you do, so that's still an issue that needs to be addressed. So I won't shut you down and say that's not really what happened. So you just, no, I want to know why.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's still an issue, and it still needs to be addressed. Because if you do it as a child, you're going to do it as an adult. And you have learned that. You've learned it somewhere. You understand what I'm saying? We don't dismiss because it doesn't seem like it's a real issue. It's a real issue if you lie and say someone abused you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not that they're lying. And sometimes, I mean, I can speak for myself. When you're abused, you don't talk about it. You suppress it.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas some people may say, well, that never happened. I don't recall that happened. Well, how do you know? You weren't in my home. I didn't share that with you.
Okay.
I just suppressed it. And now I'm angry at 18, 19 years old.
Okay.
And I don't understand why I'm so angry. And then when I start thinking back, then I'm remembering all these things that have happened to me. But I may not have shared it with you or anyone else.
What about the person that you felt abusing you? Have you sit down and try to heal with them yet?
Well, me personally, I have tried to do that.
Okay.
And my mother just wasn't receptive at all to it. So whenever I tried to bring it up, she wanted to shut it down. And that's because she's dealing with her own. She hadn't forgiven herself. And she's upset with herself.
Okay.
So that's something that she will have to deal with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, also you said you work with adults. So after they have repressed it, but they live a successful life and not realize repressing because how long you been out there before you went to join this church and start coming?
Oh, yeah, it was years. I mean, like 20 years.
20 years.
That I had suppressed a lot of things. So.
And you were still living a successful life, correctly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, whatever you wanted to define as successful.
Okay.
A lot of it, Stacy, the first, thing is just being transparent and being honest about it. So even when I took the course, I went in kind of with an arrogant attitude, with a lot of pride, thinking that, I didn't need to be there. Because a lot of times I think in the black communities, we just feel like even talking about it and going to get help is like a sign of weakness. So being forced to do this, my whole thing was, well, I'm just going here because I want to join the ministry, and I've been, teaching and in the prison ministry and talking about all the things that I had done, and I was just really messed up on the inside. So, taking that course, I had to be honest, and I had to be truthful. About the things that I dealt with, and that's where the healing began. Just being open and honest about what you dealt with in life, or hadn't dealt with, I should say, in life.
Which shows a lot of times, even in church, if they don't embrace deliverance, there are people who are helping people who need help themselves.
Yeah. And hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. And one thing we talk about too in our program, we talk about these short-term energy relieving behaviors that we do. So for me, staying busy was not, that would help me not feel. Some people drink. Some people, do drugs. Have you ever been mad you start cleaning your house? So we just start doing things, to release that energy, but it's only temporary, so we talk about that a lot. So for me, Stacey, you said, being successful. Yeah, people looked on the outside and thought, oh, wow, she's doing all these things. But it was so I didn't have to think or feel.
Wow. That's a lot of people, though. That's,
Yes.
I think I fit in everything you added.
Yeah.
Like I said, you made me mad. I'm going to start cleaning.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to fix on the outside what's scattered on the inside. So if I can make this look okay, then I'll feel better. And after you do it, you're just tired. That's about it. But nothing is fixed.
And especially when I change the room around. Oh, this room was closed.
Right.
Yeah, my life is cleaned up. My life is...
Let me remove this dust here, change this room around. Okay. So first you need to realize that, think about, like you said, we got to know ourselves. And this program is going to help us take the first step to think about ourselves. What is it that we need to heal? What is we've been pushing down for so long?
Exactly.
That been bothering us.
Exactly. And the program only works as well as you work it. Again, because we give a lot of free work out every week. So, and it's painful sometimes because it makes you go, you have to go back, and look at some things that you may not have want to, you want to forget about it. But again, it's all about just being truthful and you being truthful with yourself in order to be free.
That's a key word, truth. Because when you're abused, you lie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You lie to cover it up.
Okay.
You lie to yourself. It's not that bad.
Okay.
When other people tell you it's not that bad, that's not where it really happened. Self-deception comes in because you start telling yourself that. So you don't feel the pain. But it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's deception. It's still there. And truth is a key. It is a key that would unlock that.
Yeah. But let's talk about the truth. I like what you just say. Somebody would tell them that that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that other person it was not true. Then how do you find out the truth? I always feel there's three sides to every story. It's
Okay.
your side, my side,
Okay.
and God knows everything.
Right. Okay.
But sometimes we see things different.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna use me as an example.
Okay.
I have a child who felt that he was on punishment for 72 hours in his room.
Okay.
So I asked him, because we went on a trip and we spent some time together, and I asked him, 72 hours in a room, the whole day,
Mm-hmm.
whole night? And he was saying, well, Daddy was at work that night, so he got suspended from school.
Mm-hmm.
So during the daytime, he was with my husband.
Okay.
So my husband had him in his room, he had his toys and stuff, so he could sleep.
Okay.
He went to night school, so when I got off work, I took him to night school.
Okay.
In my eyes, that wasn't abuse. He went to night school, he had to do his homework, I helped him with the homework. We had 2 more other kids to do work with. So he was out the house, but he might not went out and played during the daytime when
Right.
other kids was out playing.
Right.
Because he got himself expelled from school.
Okay.
So he's hurting in that aspect and thinking that he's been abused.
Well, in all honesty, let's look at it from the loss. He did lose something. He's grieving and angry about what he lost.
What he lost.
Explain
Yes.
that. He lost time outside, playing with friends. He could hear them outside playing, but he couldn't go. He lost time with his dad in the interaction. Okay, Dad is there, but he's asleep. I'm in my room.
Right, 'cause
Well,
he
if I'm
was
in my
work.
room, then it's like I'm restricted and I'm limited as if I did something wrong.
Okay.
You
He
see
did
what I'm
do something
saying?
wrong.
So, well,
Got expelled from school.
aside from being expelled from school, okay, so he was being punished. But the way he looked at it, it's abuse because that should only last for so long.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? He's looking at a loss.
It is a loss. And I was going to say, a lot of times they kind of interchange the word
Mm-hmm.
abuse and neglect. So he was kind
Okay.
of feeling neglected.
Neglected.
So
And like-
that's the right word.
Right.
Yes.
And how we were talking about, earlier, just your expectations. Because you expect your parents to be nurturing and to be there,
Mhm.
right? But you had to work
That's right.
and put a roof over his head.
Mhm.
And so
And
that,
we worked 2 different shifts,
Right.
and the other
Mhm.
kids was in daycare.
Right. and you had to do that in order to survive, in order to provide. But whereas he may wanted more time with you.
And
So
we
I
was
think
giving
they
him
say,
more toys.
yeah, right. Well, yeah, right.
Since I'm in my room.
Since I'm in my room, yeah.
You know,
So I-
you got everything you want, Legos and everything to keep you busy. So
Right.
well, that's what
But
you said.
here's the thing, when I'm in a position where I'm listening to them, I'm not considering other people.
Right. It's about
Why
them.
not?
It does because it does not matter what you did, why you did it, why it doesn't. The thing is helping him.
Okay.
So if his perception is off, then we have to deal with that. I don't consider you. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get him to see your side.
Okay. Okay.
He can't see correctly anyway.
Okay.
He doesn't see it that way. He see it as, well, I lost something. I agree.
Okay.
He did. Whether it was on purpose, whether it was punishment and all that, it doesn't matter. He did lose something.
Okay.
He did.
All right.
And then once he's healed, then he could see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just give you an example. So for me, being angry with my mother, right? All I can say is, how could this person who brought me in the world abuse me and say these awful things about me? Always talk about my complexion and I'm not going to be anything, on top of being physically abused. That's all I saw, going through it. But once I was healed and delivered, you know what I saw? I saw a scared 15-year-old child who had a baby and who grew up with alcoholic parents and who grew up being abused herself. And I felt compassion for her.
Yes.
You know, I started to feel compassionate for her versus hating her and being angry with her. But I had to be healed first to be able to even see that.
And that's the thing. Truth
Yeah.
is light. You get to really see. You don't see shadows anymore.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We're afraid of shadows when you're young. So when you see shadows, vague things, it's scary. But when you start seeing things in the light, it's totally different. My mother was raised by alcoholic parents. So she was neglected. She lost affection and time and being tended to. So I am very loving and giving, but it wasn't expressed through hugs and stuff.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So the way I express it is the way I express it, but not the way that I received it.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I see.
Because I know some people, they're very affectionate, but they're not the kindest, the most giving, the most sincere people. But they will hug and stuff because that's what they learned.
Right.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? But this is who I am. So I want to express in sincerity. That helped me. But growing up, I had to find that. It didn't make sense to me. So what I would say she neglected and she didn't do it on purpose.
Okay.
She never received it. I wasn't raised by alcoholic parents. But how they were affected me through her.
Okay. So I see. So the program actually is going to help you find the inner truth, how it really was, the way you felt back then, and why you felt back then, and then also then you can understand why they went through what they went through.
Well, I wouldn't
Have a
just say
little
inner
compassion.
truth. I would say truth. Period.
Truth. Period.
It can't just be my truth.
Okay.
People have their own truths and a
Yes.
whole lot of things.
Yes.
The
That's why I said inner
truth.
truth. That's why I asked you about the
The
truth.
truth. Yes, it's the truth. It is what it is. So you can see clearly. So you can even deal with people in truth,
Okay.
not just from where you stand.
Okay.
You know?
Yes. Now we talked about your abuse, but over the years, who helped you through your other people that in your life was there for you?
Well, as a child, you know, again, I didn't speak about it. I think there were adults in my life who knew about it. I had an aunt, and you know, the Lord showed me this recently too, how I spent all my life saying, oh, I didn't have that mother, and I was kind of jealous of my friends that have relationships with their mom, but He always, you know, provides you with that person to look up to. So I had an aunt who would just come and get me every weekend, and it was so peaceful. And I remember her always asking, you know, she would always say, you can tell me anything, you know, like you can tell me anything. And that was her trying to get me to, you know, to speak out. So I saw some normalcy. I saw a family function, you know, properly. And, you know, so I was just so grateful that she was able to come and get me those weekends so I can see something different, to know there was something
There
better.
is something.
Yeah, than what I was experiencing. So I have to say, you know, and then in my 20s when I finally decided to just release this, and this is why it's interesting that the Lord put us back together again for this, you know, program, was that I shared it with Celinda and another friend of ours, and it just kind of flowed. I don't even know how we even got on the topic, but I just started talking, and I felt like I just never stopped talking because I had, you know, held so much in. And of course, you know, the Lord, that's number one, me, you know, giving my life to Him, because that's where the healing first began, and I had to learn how to trust Him. I didn't trust, I had trust issues, you know, so I had to learn how to trust Him, and He just set everything in order for me to get here, even today, and, you know, and to talk to you, so.
With me, I was raised in a house, I'm an only child by my mother. And I was raised in a house with 2 more children. And their mother, she was very affectionate. So I didn't miss it. My mother just couldn't do it. But she was very affectionate, very huggy, very kissy. She got to kiss and hug us before she leaves. She got to kiss and hug us when she comes back. She calls and see, you know, how you doing, what y'all do. She was very attentive, even though my mother wasn't. So sometimes people are angry that they didn't get it from a certain person, but you did get it. I did get it. I was very close to her.
Okay.
because of that.
And you don't feel like, oh, too much?
No, one of my close friends is like that. She would be like this, even on this interview. She's very, she's like that. So it wasn't that I had a problem with it. I just like it to be sincere. That's one of my things. It has to be sincere, or I don't want it. I'll kind of like shy back. So that's just something that, even as an adult, if it's not sincere, I tend to draw back.
Okay.
Yeah, because
And
the
you can sense
sincerity
that now.
was I know when it's real. I know because it was real. She didn't do it because she had to do it. This was what I saw of her. She did it with everybody. That's just who she was.
Yeah.
You know.
Some of the people.
She's just very. She was very loving. She was very loving. So I didn't miss that. Being able to express that and even talk about it is because of the Lord. I'm very. I'm not expressive this way. Verbally, I will share, and my actions, they're going to be truthful. So that was a key thing, because I think I saw so much hidden things and deceptive things I have a real issue with. And that's growing up. And it affected my relationship with people, because when I saw jealousy or slander or gossip or anything that I saw when I was little that wasn't dealt with, I drew away from it. I didn't want to connect with people that I saw it with. So even now, I have to you can't dismiss people just because you see those things.
Yeah, because your circle is mighty small, damn, right?
It would be very small. Actually, it is small. Those close, those that I'm close with, yeah. But it doesn't mean that I don't interact or stuff like that. It's just that closeness, because I saw the sincerity and I saw what insincerity did.
Now, somebody that's going through this now and seeing this video, and just what is the one question that they need to ask themselves before, to think about? So like when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about, my son told me this, or I went through this myself, what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, maybe I need the program. What's something that people need to think about just to concentrate on for a minute before they get help or reach out to you for help? Because, sometimes we can see drugs, alcohol, you see all these programs, but we don't move forward, I can control it. I don't drink that much, you know what I'm saying? But to get healed and know they hurting, they drinking too much because they hurting, probably. What's something they need to just, a question that make you go, this might be me, it might be something I need. With
me, I would consider why. My mother didn't drink. Raised by alcoholics. I did. Okay. It's not that I saw it. You know what I'm saying? So why was I doing it? And I was doing it to be numb. I'm very sensitive. Okay. So I would just do it to go numb. I didn't want to feel, and I can watch something now on TV and cry. These people ain't really crying. They're acting. This is not really fake. But I would, and my daughter would look at me. Because I'm very, but people wouldn't know that. But I'm very sensitive. And it was why? Like, why are you drinking like that? Mm-hmm. I mean, normally, why would drink water? We need water to survive. But I was drinking like it was nothing. But it was to numb things. So why do you need to numb things? Because it's painful. Mm-hmm. So what is the pain that you're trying not to face? You see what I'm saying? So my question would be why? Why do you do this? Why do they say this all the time? My friends always say it so. Why? That's the question. Instead of ignoring everything, that would be my question that you need to ask.
Yeah. And I have to agree. I mean, I think I said earlier, for me, I just had to ask myself, why was I so angry? Like, why am I so angry? How could you on the one hand be like a giving person and you want to help people, but yet at the same time you're very angry and you're very guarded. And a lot of people will tell me, gosh, you're just so guarded. Or once you let that wall down, people have a friend for life. And I had to start thinking about, why do people always say that about me? You know, so guarded, because you know why? I wanted to protect myself before you were able to hurt me. And then I just had to ask myself, okay, why are you this way? Why are you this way?
So is your program, if somebody comes to you for help, is it confidential?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything we discuss, we don't give last names, but everything we discuss is a very secure, private, intimate, you know, setting. And everything that's shared there stays there.
Yes.
Pause. There's a lot of people in church are helping other people, and some are not. And it's also being hurt by people in church, like you said, hurt people hurt people. So would you advise anybody just need to step into this program and just see?
I think that was the best thing that church in Ohio could offer. And I give them a plug, the Word Church in Ohio. But if you wanted to work on any ministry, you had to go through this program. And I can't speak for that pastor, but I do believe that it was a twofold process. Number one, just to make sure that you're going to be committed, you know, to a ministry. Are you going to show up 12 weeks and finish this program? But more importantly, I want you healed. Because even to be a greeter at the door, you know, I want it to be sincere, like she just kept saying, you know, and you not hurt people and, you know, sit down, you know, pointing and being nasty. So he just wanted everybody to go through this program if you worked in that church. So you cannot join the ministry unless you did that. And we believe that other churches should, you know, adopt that as well.
You agree this way?
I agree. I look at it as interesting. She said the greeter at the door. This is my house. I'm the only one that lives here. This is your house. You're the only one that lives here. You know what's going on in here. If anyone approaches your house, they're going to get what's in the house, right? So it's like when people are renovating, they're pulling things from behind the wall. It's infestation, things that have been there that will affect, no matter how pretty the house looks on the outside, no matter how much the decorations, if there are things behind the wall, it's going to begin to show, smell, rot. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like deliverance. My church, For Christ Ministries, huge on deliverance. We have to deal with your house. You're in our house. You're in the house of God. You're serving, but your house is messed up. There's no judging. There's no judging. How can I judge you because you need to be healed? Because you need to be free? Because you're hurting? Why would I judge you? You know, and so that's what this program reminds me of. Just people getting delivered, getting free. Just getting free so you can live a full life, a life that you were intended to live before all these things happened. You were intended. It's yours. It is for you. It is for you to be free. It is for you to be happy. It is for you to enjoy being here. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't enjoy being here. And they don't want to be here. Right? They don't want to be here anymore because of what they won't take care of in the house.
Now, also we talked about the people in the church. So if I have turned away from God and I don't believe in God, you know, your program's still open to me because I don't know how to let go and let God because I don't have that faith no more. So if a person don't have that no more, they still welcome in your house, be able to still take the steps. But even though they don't want to hear the word God no more.
Definitely, right. We definitely open the door to them, and we understand that people are upset with God. And again, if I'm being honest, you know, I got to the point where I was a little upset. And the reason being, you know, one loss I dealt with was the murder of an uncle. And to me, he was like a brother to me. And I remember just being so hurt, you know, and I would go to church and I would share. I would say, oh, God, you know, I'm hurting. And I would always hear stuff like, well, you know, absent from the body is present with the Lord. And they would always give me scriptures. Well, I knew the word of God. I knew the scripture. But I just kept saying to myself, what do you do when you feel like it's not helping you, though? Like, I'm still, nobody wanted to address my hurt. You know, that's how I felt. So, yeah, I was a little angry because I felt like I had to pretend. Like I had to go in there and put on a smile and pretend like everything was okay because nobody wanted to hear that I was hurt. But then I understood, Stacy, that people don't know what to say. You know, grief is one of the most misunderstood processes. And this is what we share with our group. when they come in. We say, so when you're a little kid and you fall off your bike and you may hurt your knee, what do your parents do? They may kiss it and they may bake you. Let's bake cookies, right? And then you learn how to eat to deal with your grief. Your pet dies, and then they buy you another one. And then we start replacing things, okay? You get your heart broken, and then we say, oh, there are more fish in the sea.
Place.
And then you're wondering why you're going from this woman or this man to this man to this woman, because you want to replace people with people.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's bring it up, you know, when you're an adult, and you go through a loss, and your job gives you 5 or 7 days, they call it bereavement. But bereavement is not to grieve. Bereavement is for you to take care of the paperwork and the funeral arrangements. So then we're taught to get over it. But no one teaches you how. No one tells you how. You know, when we move children around, they say, oh, they bounce back. They get over it. But they endure a loss of their home, their room, familiarity, their friends, you know. So I understand now that people just didn't know what to say. So our program, you know, while we may not give scriptures, we know where the foundation comes from, and we don't give scriptures because we understand that people are upset with God, and if we do that, it may harden their heart, and they don't want to hear it. But afterwards, if you want us to, you know, pray for you and give you scriptures, we definitely will. But we do believe that the foundation of what we're doing is, you know,
It's the Lord. It's the Word of God.
Yeah.
That is the truth. And the ultimate relationship is with the Lord, even though people are angry.
Yeah.
That is because of purpose. Purpose. Why are you here? You weren't sent here to endure that, to go through that. That's why they're angry at God, because that's what they think. That's not the truth.
Yeah, good question.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So y'all already started your first meeting?
Well, right now we start working with some teenagers currently, but then in a few months we'll start back up with the adults again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And y'all also be doing a webinar for people that's out of the United States too, to join your meeting?
Right, we will have an opportunity for them to Skype in. They can actually, you know, Skype in. But we are certified through the Grief Recovery Institute. So, you know, if they want this program, it's in any state. So they can just go to that website and see who the grief counselors are, you know, in that state. I should say grief specialists are in that state. But they can definitely Skype in to one of our meetings if they want to do so.
Okay, so this is nationwide.
It is.
Nationwide. Now, do you have any advice that you want to give anybody just watching the show? You know, I asked you plenty of questions, you told me answers, but is anybody that you just want to speak to or just say to the world for them just, because I already asked you about what do you think about, but something to make them just look, check your website out, and just go the next step. You know, I don't know, it's a statement that, you know, because sometimes that person just touch you and say this, and like, wow, she just reached into my soul and saw that. You know how the preacher's preaching, he's like, he talking to me. And he don't know me from Adam and Eve, but everything he just spoke about me. It's something that you like to say that you think it might reach some people, because, you know, we just don't know.
Yeah, and I think this is on our website, and we ask questions. You know, if you are going through something,
Say it in the camera.
if you are going through something and you're tired of people telling you to hold your head up, and you're tired of people telling you to get over it, and you're tired of people telling you that, you know, you shouldn't feel that way, and or you're tired of people telling you to get over it and not telling you how to get over it. If you are feeling that way, then check out our website, check out our program, because we will teach you how to deal with your loss.